What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS.
Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London as we're open every day.
Does your book, film, resource, product, or business change people's lives for the better? Hi, I'm Jackie Lappin, founder of Conscious Media Relations, a unique boutique PR firm that helps you connect with your mind, body, spirit, and conscious lifestyle audience in a big way. We reach 3,500 specialty media and all the key mainstream outlets in the United States. I invite you to explore our radio media tour that connects to 2,600 personal growth radio shows. There is just nothing else like it. Come check out our website and read our rave reviews.
The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching the UK's only alternative late night talk show. And I'm your host, Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On today's show, I'm joined with Maureen St, Germain, who leads workshops in personal development and spiritual awakening. Now, as a seeker, she shares the knowledge she has gained from 25 years of study in ancient truths. Maureen St. Germain will discuss how we are equipped to achieve success, love, and happiness and be our own genie. Now, the genie represents knowledge or skills that we don't have, and in the Arabian stories, once the genie is out of the bottle, bad things could happen. Now, this negative aspect was used to keep people from attaining knowledge or power on their own, but once that info is out, it can't go back into the bottle. Now, she is a personally trained as a certified flower of life facilitator, and Maureen has led esoteric studies groups since 1984 and studied the teachings of Essenes, Akashic, Ascended Masters, and esoteric mysteries from around the world. Maureen St. Germain, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's really good to be with you.
Yes, it's very, very, very good to have you on. And I was just saying off air there that actually, you know, there's so many of the law of attraction type material that has come across my desk in this past few months. It's so interesting, this subject is. and there's so many great ways to approach it. And again, we've got yourself on another fantastic way of looking at it. This is different. We shall get into that as well. Be a Genie, and the book's on the screen now with a little bit of bio about it and your website. But just to get sort of have a background to this as well. Now, tell me about your spiritual awakening in a sense. Have you always been able to communicate to what you called the angels, or what the guys that you work with?
As far as I can remember, I've been plugged in. I didn't always label it that way, but I've always had access. When I was in my 20s and I told my father, one of my spirit guides came in and told me thus and such. He said, honey, it's okay if you tell me this, but don't tell anyone else. That was back then. But at the same time, I am a pragmatist, and I had a family, and I needed to have plenty of money to send my sons to college, and so I was always very ambitious.
Excellent. Okay. Now, just and there was something I read as well. Well, actually, let me ask the question. When was it that you decided to serve people as well, in a sense?
Well, I began working on this particular book quite some time ago, and the book Be a Genie was originally written back in the 90s. But I have always thought that I would be teaching and helping people with manifestation, and I was always experimenting with manifestation. So long before The Secret, like in the 70s, I can remember needing to manifest $100, and I was relying on my husband for income because I was pregnant, and I had a manager's job where I managed the apartment building we were in, but I didn't have any extra cash flow. And I knew that I needed an extra $100. I was really clear about having that $100 and what I was going to do with it. And I often had pickup jobs where I would paint the empty apartments before a new tenant would come in. And I knew that that's where the $100 would come from. And the $100 came in just like clockwork. But it did not come from a painting gig. And that was my first aha. Oh my gosh, you can manifest and you don't have to know how.
Well, that's a really important part. Do you know that? You did not know how you were doing it at the time.
Mm-hmm. But also you didn't have to know where it was going to come from, you see, because, even that's the first thing people go to. I need an extra $500. Oh, well, I can go do this, or I can go do that. But what if you said to yourself, you know what, I need $100 and I need it, I need it by next Tuesday, and I don't care where it comes from as long as it's legal. I'm willing to do what I need to do. I'm willing to show up. And what will happen is something will happen. An opportunity will come. Someone will write you a check. I have manifested big chunks of money just because I've made clear intention and told the universe, this is what I need, this is what I want, and there it is.
Right. So what you're saying is actually it's quite simple. It's not a struggle, and anybody can do this. Anybody
That's
can
right.
be the genie.
Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. And I have lots and lots of tips and tools to help people. And my method is very linked to a very logical, easy, formulaic kind of a system, so that once you understand it, once you learn it, you read all the pitfalls that people can fall for, and it's like, wow.
Okay. I love the title, Be a Genie. I've got to say that. The cover's great as well. Where did that title come from and why?
Originally, the book was called, actually, there's a very good story behind that. I did a meditation, and when I was getting the material, then I knew I was writing a book, and so I was kind of downloading this material, and I didn't really think of it as downloading it. I just thought, I was getting ideas. You know how you do that? You don't realize till later, oh, wow, that was one of my angels or something. You just think it's your idea in the moment. And so I was getting a lot of information, and I was writing it down and making good progress on what I thought would be a potential book. And I kept saying to myself, it would be so much easier if I knew what this was called, what this body of knowledge would be called. So a friend of mine led me through a guided meditation. And in the meditation, I saw myself being interviewed by someone. And she asked me a question. And I looked at her and I said, well, when I wrote the Genie book,
yeah,
and that's when I knew what the name of it was. Up until then, I didn't know.
That's absolutely incredible. Okay, now
Well,
we're going to get.
you know what? It's not so incredibly credible because I read many years later that Jack Canfield used the same meditation process, and they kept taking it back to meditation on what they were going to call that content, which is now known as Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah, I'll tell you something, a weird story as well. It's not getting away from the book, it's just what you're saying there that I had today. I've been channeling. Most people know that on my network. And what the source that I've been channeling is called The One. I had this young lady today out of the blue from Australia email me to say that she's been channeling what's called The One. I didn't read the email properly until later on, and I thought, oh, I've misread that email, let me just go look at her website. And there it was. And we you know, and that's not a name that I'd ever heard of, and I don't know where that name came from really, except for in that quiet space of meditation it came to me. That's my point, that when you listen to your gut feeling or that quiet space, you can be in tune.
That's right. Bring it through.
Okay, now, before we get to the book as well, there's a few other little questions I've got that I need to ask you. Now, you state that in 2003 you were given direct access to a dimension that had been closed to humanity for eons. Just explain that dimension and what that's brought you.
Okay, so I was actually done with a workshop, and my host had to inspect one of her buildings and asked if I minded if we stopped at this building site while she took care of that before we went to dinner. And I said, sure. And then when we got to the building site, I said, you know what I'd really like to do is just take a nap. So I went to sleep. And then right before she came back, I woke up. And I woke up with a very clear message that this astrologer that I knew in that town had a message for me. So I reached out and phoned her after dinner, and she'd already gone to bed, but her husband relayed the message to her. And the next day she called me, and I said, so are you going to update my chart? And she said, actually, I don't do messages. You need to understand, I don't do messages. So getting that message from you kind of took me by surprise. But then I went in meditation and asked my guides who work with me, should I be updating your chart? And they said, absolutely not. We have a message for her. And the message was very clear. I was being given a permanent guide. I was being given access to a dimension that had been closed to humanity for eons. And at the time, I didn't understand what that would be or what that would be like. I now believe it's that I was being given direct access to the Akashic records, because that's the field that I then suddenly had an interest in and pursued it and developed a school and training program for people and became a very highly accurate channel in the Akashic records.
Wow. Okay. Oh, that's interesting, and that's, you kind of follow. So you could say that's been your purpose to. Well, how would you state your purpose now?
My purpose is to assist others in being the best they can be, and I choose to use spiritual knowledge, training, education, tools to make that real for people so that they can do what I do, because I believe everything I can do, you could do, you should be able to do. And although I'm like on a very focused mission, the fact that I carry this energy makes it easier for you. So many times people will come back to me and say, in the workshop I got this, this, and this, but ever since I've been home, nothing's happening. And I will say to them, go back and redo the work we did in the workshop, and then go into meditation and see where it takes you. So, that's really my purpose. But I am also willing to say to you that one of the things I teach people is how to connect with their own divine self. And I call it the higher self connection, or checking in. And checking in is checking in with your higher self and getting information. And I teach a system, a 5-step system that you go through it, and in 6 weeks you have 100% accuracy. So I will say 2 things about that. Number 1, I want to say that if my higher self told me I had a different purpose tomorrow, then I would change. So wow. I'm in the present. And that's one of the things that I really encourage people to do, to keep checking in, because that, number 1, keeps us humble. I'm not just using my ego to go do something that I thought I'm supposed to do. Instead, I'm choosing to stay present. Maybe it'll change tomorrow. And then I want to tell you a story. Now, I have 4 sons. And I have a son who is aware of what I do, but he's not, none of them are actually practicing what I practice. And one day I was kind of bragging to my son that this young man that lived in his town, I was going to come to their town and do a workshop. And I was staying at my friend's house, who was the same age as my son. And these two men knew each other and they were friends. So I said to my son, kind of in a joking way, well, you know, Seth is going to let me drive his Beamer. And he looked at me and he said, he must not have checked in before he told you that. And I just burst out laughing because, you know, it was a little rub, you know, Mom, you're not that great of a driver, because if he'd checked in, he would have known not to give you his car. So.
That's it, yeah. Isn't that incredible? When you well, not incredible, but it's following. It's going into that quiet space, isn't it, and getting in tune with yourself. And you know, people may ask, well, you know, how do you connect to your higher self? And for me, and would love your opinion on this as well. It's just you can get there through meditation if you just listen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can, but some people can't quiet the mind, and that's why there's many different kinds of meditation. And I originally started teaching a meditation based on sacred geometry. And I was so fascinated by the sacred geometry, I actually wrote the book on the Genie first, but I ended up publishing, the book on the sacred geometry and meditation second. I actually published that one first, because by the time I got that book published, I was well known for this meditation and the sacred geometry skills. And so that seemed to lead, even though the other book had already been written. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I straight away you're like the whole package.
Thank you.
You're the whole package, and that's another difference with you, another unique selling point, I think, and it's definitely a gift. Now, another big influence for yourself, I believe, was Edgar Casey at the ARE in Virginia. Now, I actually work with them. Doing their weekly show Reflections, the Wisdom of Edgar Casey. So I just thought that was a bit of a bit of a connection, really. Do you know what I mean? That material probably still does help you with what you do now.
Indeed. Well, first of all, I sit on the board of directors for the New York organization, and nice. I teach there when I'm in New York. And I was in a study group when I was in my 20s. And stayed with that study group for like 8 years and learned tremendously. The remedies, the opportunities on spiritual growth and reflection and all of that. And I had a very interesting experience at one of my study groups one time where a woman was given the information that she lied. Now, this was the sweetest woman in the whole study group, like candy sweet. And she had a husband and a son, and we all just, thought, how can this be? Why would she pull that card? And she came back the next week and she said, well, it turns out the card was right. I was sugarcoating everything that I was telling my husband or my son, and I was acquiescing to what they wanted instead of speaking up what I wanted. And it was a really important lesson for me to learn to speak my truth. So sometimes you don't know that you need to learn something until it's put in front of you. And the cool thing for me was, I wonder where I'm lying. And this is a very good example. One time I had a very good friend who was doing something that I was disappointed in. And I was complaining to, a close friend, well, she thinks she's entitled. And as soon as those words came out of my mouth, I said, whoa, I wonder what I feel entitled to. And that's a very good opportunity. Whenever you're feeling like this accusing energy, well, she blah, 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 immediately to pull yourself back and say, wow, I wonder where I'm doing that. And I immediately shifted and changed my behavior on something very, very important. And it was a very powerful opportunity for me to, walk my talk.
Yeah, life does that, doesn't it? Sometimes it definitely does.
Yes.
So
the Genie work is what helped me do everything else. So the Genie material is a very simplistic way to manifest, and I'd like to run through that, like some basic steps for people.
Oh, yes, please. I mean, in the book you talk about 5 steps.
Yeah. Well, That's true. There are 5 steps. I'm going to simplify it for the radio and say, everybody talks about visualization, and certainly visualization is useful and an important tool. But what I like people to do is look at what you really want and then go to a point in time after that proves it really happened. So if you wanted to be with the beloved, you don't go to the day you meet. You don't go to the day you exchange vows. Instead, you go to an anniversary. And for the anniversary, what do? You clink glasses. And so you use your visualization to see yourself clinking glasses with the beloved. And then that's step 1. Step 2, you would hear what they say. And hearing someone else say it to you is very, very powerful. You're the most amazing person I've ever met. And I am so in love with you. I am so happy we met. I'm so glad we're together. That proves that we met, that we're together, that we have a happy life. You see? So the anniversary then is the driving force. Then what happens is opportunities, situations, circumstances drive you to take certain steps, and you don't even know that that's going to lead you to that person and situation. But the universe will conspire to make it happen without you making it happen. Now you might decide, oh, Kevin's the one, or Daniel's the one, and they drop out, or they change their mind or whatever, and you're thinking, oh man, and this does happen to people. So I say, well, just remember that you had good feelings, focus on all the stuff you liked about whoever it is, and say, if not him, someone better. If not this one, someone better.
Well, can I? You can apply this into so many places, but okay. First thing, do you have to know the person? And if you do know them, do you have to? It's a lot of trust, isn't it? If you do know them, that you're actually putting yourself in a future situation and envisaging what it might be like when actually it might not. But it's a lot of trust. You know what I mean? That
Yes, I do.
Making the right
choice.
Well,
first of all, what I would say to anyone who's listening, if you have a special someone in your life that you would like to be more involved with, do not put them in the picture. Instead, see a faceless face. The only thing you're really clear about is their gender. You know what gender you prefer. And, for me, I would see a man. So I knew that I was looking for a man. Now, Some men will say, well, she's got to have these physical features and be a blonde. So they not only know they want a female, but they know certain qualities. Okay. After that, everything's negotiable. And that's what happens. And when I met my husband, for example, he was geographically undesirable. I had no interest in dating someone who lived on the other side of the continent.
And that was because that was just not something you wanted at the time.
Well, first of all, I love New York. New York is my home.
Yeah.
And this man was from Seattle. And so, people usually assume that when you meet someone and fall in love, one of them is going to move so you can live together.
Yeah.
And we do live together, but we're not together all the time. But I travel and he travels for his work. So it wasn't like we were taking away from our family life. And, nowadays you can Skype.
Oh, it's so different. Yeah.
See each other every day, FaceTime, And it's not the same as being in bed together, of course, but you get that opportunity to connect and stay, as a couple.
Yeah.
So, Anyway, the universe told me.
Interesting, though. Yep, sure, yep.
Build a bridge. So I did. And there were lots and lots of confirmations about this one. So it was easy to say yes to. So going back to your heart's desire, if you have an idea who that person is, it's okay, but don't take the next step and presume it's them. Instead, say, well, I want this person to be as much fun as Daniel is. I want this person to be, good for me. I want this person to be a good match for where I'm at so that we can grow together. All of the things that you think are important. But the most important thing is that you're happy. And if you're happy and you're clinking glasses, it proves that it happened. Now, if the person you had in mind drops out, you're okay because you created a matrix with a faceless face. You didn't create a matrix around that one person. And you really don't want to do that because it's kind of misusing your energy, you know. But you do put yourself out there in the sense that I am happy. I'm going to manifest a beloved. I have a beloved that loves me. We just haven't gotten it together yet. And that's really fun. Another way to manifest a beloved that is very powerful is to write a journal. And you write love letters to your beloved as if you already know each other because you've met somewhere in the ethers. And it's only a matter of time when you show up in the same space. So, you know, I'm so happy we have so much in common. I'm so happy we love the same music. It's so much fun that we eat the same food. I love that you love to go to the museums like I do. I love the fact that you're good for me, call me out on my stuff. It's very fun. So you can write love letters like that. And I would keep a special journal and, you know, you just write in that special journal and that's all it's for. And the time to write in the journal is when you're really lonely. Because that's very powerful. You have a lot of energy and you're thinking about what it would be like to be with someone. So why not just write it out? Yeah, it's so nice that I can know that we love to go to the same events and we love the same people. We know the same people. We love the same people, whatever it is. It's very amazing. Very amazing.
Wow. Kind of powerful stuff.
Then after you've done this, this conversation, and the conversation is really important. And I'll give you another example. Let's say you have a desire for a different car, and your visualization isn't that you got the car. The visualization is you're driving the car to the grocery store or someplace you would go regularly. And a friend sees you in the parking lot as you get out of the car, and they walk up to you and they say, "Hey, Kevin, I didn't know that was you. Are you driving alone or is your car in the shop?" And you say, "No, that's my new car." And then you hear what they say. "Wow, it's a nice car." And there's something about having a mental movie where you see your friend say to you, "Wow, you're doing all right." It anchors it in and makes it real. And you play that movie over and over. You want to play? Shall we do one for you?
For me?
Yes, why not?
For me? Oh my gosh. Go on then, yes.
So what do you want to manifest?
Okay. I want to manifest a very successful second YouTube channel that I'm working on. I want to manifest a partner who maybe is into the same things as I am, and maybe someone that what I want in a partner. Happiness.
Okay. Somebody
love.
who would inspire you and be of service to you, and you might be of service to him or her.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But maybe a partner that we could work together on the spiritual side of things potentially.
Okay, so that's the one you want to manifest, because you really should stick to one thing at a time. You make separate movies for these.
Oh, are you saying that we should only see through one movie at a time until it's literally has manifested?
I'm saying that we make one movie about you and your partner, and we make another movie about your successful YouTube station.
Okay.
Which one?
Right. Okay. Yep.
So what do you want to start with?
I should say partner, shouldn't I? But I'm going to go for YouTube channel. Is that wrong?
No, it's not wrong. It's great. You want to be in a good career, and that means something. Then you bring someone in that's your peer. Okay, so you have a successful YouTube channel. What proves that you have a successful YouTube channel?
I guess that would be the views, because that would equal quite a bit of money, and it's what I would do with the money in the future. So I'm not
okay. So stay with me. How many views means successful to you?
Let's go for around for its first. Well, yeah. Okay, that's difficult. Maybe in the first year, like 20 million.
Okay, and what would you have after a couple of years?
Oh, well, that'd probably be getting on to 40 million.
Okay, so let's say you're at the place where you've got 45 million viewers, and maybe it happened faster than 2 years. You don't know when it happened. You don't know when you hit that mark, but 45 is your magic number. It's your magic number, and you've reached 45 million views. Okay? Now just take this in for a minute. You've already reached 45 million views. You're going to have a conversation with someone. Who's it going to be with?
My business partner, I think.
And do you have a business partner now that you were thinking of, or somebody that you don't know
Yes.
yet?
Yes, someone that I know now, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can give me his or her name, and you can make it up. I mean, you don't have to say who it is on the air if you don't want to.
It's fine. John.
Okay, so you're having a conversation with John. You're at 45 million. Maybe you're having a cup of tea, and you catch him on break or something, and what are you going to say to him?
John, we're mega loaded. We have so much money. This is amazing. I'm going to go and do something good with it. That's what I would say to him.
Okay, but I don't think you're going to start out with that. I think you're going to say, did you see the numbers this morning?
I'm going to see the... Sorry,
Did you see the numbers this morning? We crossed 45 million views.
Yes. So this morning...
Because remember, while it is true that you have a mission and what you're going to do with the money, your goal is to have the 45 million views because that will drive all these other things. Now,
Yes.
if you wanted to have the cash, that'd be another matter. But you're on the right track to go for the views because that'll drive everything else.
Of course.
So you're at 45 million views. I have a feeling that you'd be inching close to it, and you'd kind of be watching it close, like you watch your bank account when you know some big money's coming in. And you might say something to him like, I think we did it. I think we actually did it. And he'll say, yeah, actually it happened about 10 minutes ago, or something like that. Okay, so imagine that conversation again. Let's do it again. You walk up to him and say, hey, have you been watching the numbers? And he says,
Yes, dude, we've actually done it. We've actually done it this year. Well, and we'd congratulate each other to begin with, for getting to that point.
No, not getting to that point.
Oh.
We already did it.
We've done it. We've done it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you want me to say.
And
yeah.
then what do you say?
I would probably say, well, oh God, I maybe something along the lines of, well, what else could we do if we've done this?
Okay, so now we're going to role play again because I'm going to make you do this. It's very interesting. Sometimes when we pull back a little, it's because we're not letting ourselves have it. So we're going to cross that barrier by going in the back door. And the back door is your conversation with John. So again, I'm John and you're you. And you say, have you looked at the numbers this morning or something like that? Go for it.
John, have you looked at the numbers this morning?
Yeah, dude, we crossed 45 million.
I don't know, I'd probably say something stupid.
And that's what you would do. You would like take a deep breath and take it in. You might even say, oh, this is so awesome. Now we're going to be able to do this and this. And he might say, yeah, actually, I've been thinking about this for a while, and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Take that in.
Yeah.
So every time you do this and you role play with yourself, you hear yourself have this conversation, when you hear John say, yeah, dude, we did it this morning, actually. You just,
Yes, okay.
Yes. And let it sink in. Let it sink in. And then say, all right, on to the next thing. And this means that we're going to be able to fund that nonprofit or whatever it is. That becomes secondary because it's hitting those numbers that's going to drive all that other stuff,
Oh yeah, it'd be a life changer to do this other stuff, definitely, yeah. And I tell you what the other stuff is. It would be long term to some sort of TV channel that would be there for others in the spiritual field, a 24/7 maybe spiritual news network that would bring lots of people together to look at the news in a spiritual perspective, and also to bring spiritual shows under one roof as well.
So when you do that, I'll do that. I'll join you. I have a TV show that's being shopped right now, and when I'm out there and you're out there and we cross those bridges and we make that happen, we'll be back on a whole new level with each other. Okay, so that's a mental movie. So when you're working on your YouTube channel and you're wondering how is this going to happen and what am I going to need to do and blah blah blah, that's all good stuff. But then that's set aside, and then when you're in your meditation, you run this mental movie, and the mental movie consists of paying attention to a 3D conversation that's occurring in a future, but you're experiencing it as a now. Just like when you go into the movies and you suspend disbelief, so you've transplanted yourself to a point in the future where it already is a done deal.
Yeah, yeah. I really thank you for that.
You want to do another one?
Okay,
or you want to ask me questions?
Yeah, no. Let's do one more. But let's do one more because
Okay,
this might relate.
so this will go back to the beloved.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I was going to say, because relationships are a big thing for people. It is a kind of big thing for me. I've been single for about since a year or more, and I've not purposely dated anyone or been with anyone or done anything. I've literally become a hermit and taken time out.
Well, and sometimes that's good, just to kind of get used to you again.
Yes, definitely.
So now you're happily mated.
Wow. What would that feel like to have someone that was balanced for once? Balanced in love life, balanced in mentally on the same level. That's hard to imagine.
Okay, so just take a minute, and there's somebody out there that fits that description. That's already spiritually turned on, balanced, in a good place, good match for you, will call you on your stuff, doesn't mind being called on whatever they're doing, and they really love you. They really love you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So if that doesn't make you all verklempt, I don't know what would. I saw you go there for half a second when I said that. Did you feel it?
I went there for about half a second, yeah. Yeah.
So go there again and pretend that the beloved is saying to you, Kevin, you are so freaking awesome.
I'd be like, I know.
And you would. And they would laugh. And they would say, yeah. And we're so good with each other.
Yeah. I'd say, because, I'm not that vain, but yeah, I probably would joke like that, yeah. Okay, go there. Yeah, okay.
So let's take it in. And how would that movie go? I want you to tell me.
How would that go? Oh my God, you're putting me on the spot here.
So I'm not asking you to solve it. I'm asking you to give me the script for a movie. The beloved says to you, you're freaking awesome. I am so happy I know you. I'm so happy you're in my life. I'm so happy we're together. And what do you say?
Let's go watch a movie. Come on, let's just go chill. Let's just go chill and watch a movie. Let's just enjoy each other's company.
They would say, well, yeah, but today's special because
of course. Well,
it's our anniversary of when we met or when we moved in or whatever.
Of course. Well, let's go somewhere where it's just calm and somewhere just me and you, just out in the open somewhere, and just sit there and just relax and enjoy each other's company just for a bit, just to be together and enjoy. Or if you want to, somewhere.
Now, does your audience see you, or do they only see me?
No, both. We're both on the screen right now.
Okay, so those of you who are watching, he was shaking his head no. We would go someplace nice. Now, it wasn't very exaggerated. I'm really exaggerating it here. And what I'm telling you is your body's saying no, but your mouth is saying yes. So there's some disconnect there.
That is true.
And here's what I will say to you. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be with someone who absolutely adores you. You deserve to be with somebody who's a good match for you. And this is true for all of us, by the way. You deserve it.
And go ahead. No, go ahead.
Close your eyes for half a second and hear me say it again. And I want you to respond as if you heard it from the beloved.
Oh, God.
Kevin, you are so freaking awesome. I always have so much fun with you. I am so in love with you. I'm so happy we're together.
And I feel exactly the same because you're my perfect match. And
nod your head up and down.
Yes, I feel perfect. I feel exactly the same. Yeah, and I'm so glad I met you, and I'm glad that life has brought us together at this time now when I've become a different. I mean, I wouldn't say this to her, but in my head.
No, don't take it away. Don't take it away. Don't take it away. Stop.
But I've
At
become
this
a
time
different.
now, I'm
At
so
this
happy
time,
I did all my work. Period. Don't go there. See what I mean? Don't go into the past, because now you're not
yeah,
in the present. The
yeah,
present
yeah.
is, here's the thing. When open your eyes. When you
I'll
are
start
broke,
meditating.
when you're
Yeah,
broke, all you can think about is paying your bills.
true.
But once you have bills, once you have lots of money, how do you pay your bills?
Well, then you're worried. Then it can be worried. I'm not saying I would suffer from this, but those
The
can with money
the difference
can.
between people who live from week to week and the people who have resources is the
Yeah,
people who
yeah.
have resources pay their bills whenever they want, and they don't think about it all the time. And furthermore, think
That's true.
about a time maybe when you wanted to have an internet radio show and didn't, and how you thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. Now that you have it, you don't think about that. You see? You think about other stuff. So when you're broke, you think about paying bills or how am I going to get money. But when
Yeah,
you have money, you
yeah.
don't think about how am I going to pay my bills. That doesn't cross your mind. You see some bill come in, you look at it and go, I'll get to that tomorrow when I do all my paperwork. You don't even stress. So this is what I'm saying to you. When you're in that movie of the mind, when you're having that conversation with the beloved, you're not going to talk about now that I've arrived and now that I've done my spiritual work. That's not what you're going to say. You're going to say, yeah, I'm the man I always wanted to be, and no wonder you came in my life. Like that.
Yeah, but when I meet this person, it would have taken me to go on this journey to get where I am now. I'll be honest with you, right? I'm glad I've gone through this journey because and experienced the things that I've had to experience, because it's made me the person I am now.
And if that's how you feel, and this is true for lots of people, it may be that you'll have a few practice beloveds before you get the one that's the one.
Well, and those who have come into your life to test you and to get you there as well.
That's right. That's right.
Promises
to help
that
you
you
home
made.
in a little something that needs a little extra TLC.
And how would I have known that I don't want to be with a particular person had I not had that person, and she for her as well? It's not just all about me. When two people come together, there's two people that are getting an experience out of it, and I hold no grudges for anyone. Just going to say that for anyone that I've been with or spent time with or whatever's gone wrong, everything is there to teach us, and it can be
right. They're all opportunities to get us
all
to
opportunities.
shift and change.
Yeah.
And as you say, be the man you've always wanted to be, or be the woman you've always wanted to be.
Exactly. But I don't feel that I could. Well, no, actually, I'm not going to say. I was going to say that.
Let's not take that away. So we have to get off that subject so you don't accidentally take it away. And your takeaways are important. So everybody who's listening, the classic takeaway is, well, I'm a female and I want to be with a guy, and there's not that many good guys, Kevin. There's really not. Okay, that's a takeaway. You see, I've taken it away. I've limited my options. And you did that a little bit when you said,
I stopped myself though.
Good. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And so those of you who are listening, remember this. If you notice that you're starting to do that, just do it. Just Kevin just did. Just stop yourself, and you'll be fine. Yes. One of the things I teach is what I call twofers. So if you go all the way accidentally with a bad thought or a negative thought about anything, but particularly in an area where you're trying to change your life, twofers, 2 positives for every negative. So if you're somebody who hates your job, you have to do 2 positives to replace it. The first positive antidotes it equally. So that's done. And then you're leaving a positive in the field to grow and to be nurtured. So for example, I hate my job, but they pay me well and I have great vacation time. You don't say, I hate my job, but I love my husband and my 2 kids. Those are not related. They have to be related enough that they actually antidote the second positive, a negative statement that you slipped out of you weren't paying attention. A lot of manifestation tools will say, don't think negative thoughts, but how do you stop thinking a negative thought before you think it? You don't.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So the way to do it is, just, it's okay if you have a negative thought. No worries. Just follow it with 2 positives. And it gets funny because once you start this practice of always following your negative thought with 2 positives, pretty soon when a friend says something negative, you're going to follow that person's negative with 2 positives. Oh, my boss was a real, jerk today, and
You know what? You're really really good. You are. I've got to say that. No, you are. And again, you come from a completely different angle with what you're doing. And I will end the relationship part on this as well. That for myself, my own experience, if I share this with the audience, is that I've got a funny feeling. It's just my own journey, right? This is not for anyone else. You've got to follow your own path. But I don't feel like I'm going to meet anyone where I am right now. It's kind of been proven to me the way life is right now from a relationship side is that she's going to be somewhere else, and I've got to go there. I feel.
Interesting. Well, and that may be true. And if that's your intuition, that's probably right on. But it does not prevent you. Listen to me. It does not prevent you from using your windows of loneliness or your windows of, wanting to be with someone in a good way to anchor that person in. And I totally get what you're saying. When I was single, I went a whole year having one date every weekend with someone new. And I was on a dating site, and I didn't have any trouble getting dates. But I said to my girlfriend one day, you can't even call them one night stand because we don't get that far. And it was a joke, but and at the end of that year, I said, okay, I get it. And I pulled my name off the sites, and I did what you're doing. I just said, you know what? This is not the cycle for me to meet someone right now, and I'm just going to focus on what I need to focus on. And that was that. And it's a very powerful statement to be connected enough with your own divinity to recognize that you might be in a window, and this goes for your listeners too, an opportunity or a cycle of your life that you are supposed to be introspective. You are supposed to be alone for your own good.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. That's so
like
important what you've said there. And I will say, though, that I'll always, and for anyone experiencing that, I will always look back on this part of my life when I have met someone that is right for both of us. I'll always look back and say, I'm so grateful now for what I've got. Because had I not gone through this and had it so easy, I would not have been so grateful, and I would not have seen the bigger picture. So, yeah.
Yep. Good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. That was actually quite interesting. Actually, thank you for doing that. Wow. Okay. You've trucked me a little bit, but that's great. With your work, I've sort of read bits of your book, and it's sort of there's something with quantum physics that fits in with your work, isn't there?
Yes. Well, I am a bit of a amateur scientist and big on math. I could have slept through geometry class in high school and still aced it. In college, the science courses I took oral exams. I didn't, it just was part of who I am. And one of the things that I began to notice is that there were direct correlations. And again, I did this work long before The Secret ever came out. So, for example, I explain that the whole principles, of particles and beams. And what I teach people, though, is that there's more than one version of the reality. And there's a very well-known physicist, David Deutsch, from the UK, who says that there's more than one version of the reality. And that means that every decision you make, you've taken the other path. Robert Frost calls the road not taken. Well, what if the road not taken you took? You just don't notice it because you didn't put as much energy into it. And what happened to me is I could see myself, because I became multidimensional, I could see myself, when I did this. And here I am over here. And I remember in meditation saying, what is going on? What is this that I'm experiencing?
Yes.
And I was shown. And this was 20 years ago. I was shown that I was in multiple versions of the reality, long before anybody even could comprehend that was possible.
And that's the truth. Mm-hmm. That's wow. Okay, that's even that. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you that at the beginning of the interview, and I actually totally forgot. Which is, well, I might have asked. I don't think I did. But where do you get your information from? What is the source of your knowledge?
Yeah. Well, I think I have a direct connection to God. And I think that the dimension that I'm plugged into is beyond the Akashic records. We never really got into it, but I do teach people how to get into the Akashic records, and I do hold the matrix of the Akashic records. But I'm really plugged in to God, and it's kind of funny. When I met my husband, and he was trying to tell me how attracted he was to me, he said, one of the reasons I'm so attracted to you is because you're a direct channel to God. And I looked at him, and he said, I don't know why I said that. I normally would say something else. And I said, don't bother me with what you were going to say. You probably channeled that. And I was making a joke. I thought it was hilarious because he's a physicist. He's not, he's a spiritual man, and he certainly, does meditation and, does his spiritual work.
He's a physicist.
But, he's not teaching people that stuff. He's not into that as the leader. And so for him to do that, it was just funny.
So your husband is a physicist?
Yes.
Wow. Yes. That's like two opposites have come together.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yes, and we're both Geminis. So the joke is, it's a borrowed joke, and I'll tell you where I got it from in a minute, but the borrowed joke is, the four of us get along great.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Bob Hope used to say that about himself and his wife.
Yeah. That's interesting. That is, and do you think that's helped with the work that you're doing as well?
Yes. It's not a secret that his mission is to support me and to help me achieve higher levels of mastery and reaching bigger crowds, bigger groups of people than I might have done on my own. And I was very successful before I ever met him.
Sure.
The whole reason I didn't want to get married or be with somebody is because I didn't want to take away from my career. And I said to him at one point, I have to tell you that, if you're serious about spending time with me, you have to know that God is first and you'll be second. And you have to let me know if that's going to be okay.
Interesting. Okay. So and this is let's lead on then into to the work that you're doing now, because is your work going in a different direction now as well?
I'm bringing in a whole new level of knowledge and inspiration. So here's the thing: the book "Be a Genie" is a little bit of a secular book and brings in science and math and helps even the right brain people get step-by-step linear explanations, scientific backup, and all of that jazz. And he read the book too, before I published it this time, before it went out into publication, so that I could, rely on the science. That's one thing. And then there's the spiritual side of me, and I do consider myself a mystic. Yeah. And my work right now, where I'm at, is I'm finishing up a book called Waking Up in 5D. And it's all about how we're going to manage in the new version of the reality and this transition that we're doing.
Very interesting.
And the book is almost done, and I am so excited about it. It is so remarkable. The information in it is so incredible.
That is very, very interesting. Okay, right. Well, we'll definitely be getting you back on for that. That's a whole other subject in a sense. But bolted onto this work in another sense as well. Now, you have a free gift for our listeners as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. On my website, there's always a free gift. The free gift that's on right now is called the Hathor chant, and this is a very powerful chant. If you've ever sat in meditation and everybody around you has, visions and colors and stuff happening, and you're always there saying, nothing ever happens to me, this is a meditation for you. That's number one. Number two, do it in a group if you can, because it's very powerful. And pick up my instructions on my blog. Sign up for my blog so you can get the posts of what's going on. But there's a very wonderful set of instructions on how to use it, how to do it. And this particular meditation is off of a CD called Mantras for Ascension. And it is very, very powerful. And it's free for the asking. You give me your email and I'll give you the download. It's very easy.
Okay, and now we've been putting your book up on the screens all throughout this interview. Is the best place to source it from Amazon?
Yes. And it's also available on Kindle. So, if you don't want to wait and you want to read it tonight, just get it off your Kindle.
Okay, excellent. Now, what would you say is one of the most important messages of this book?
That you can manifest anything. You can cross any barrier except death, as far as I know. And we're going to all, deal with that in a new way when we're in 5D, so it won't matter. But right now, you can manifest anything you want. And the fastest way to start achieving your outcomes is to do a very simple prayer, and that is, I'm asking for a day of heaven on earth for me and everyone I come in contact with.
Okay.
And it changes the energy around you, and everything is then in your favor because you're asking for everybody.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And there is one question I really wanted to ask you, and I forgot before, which is for those in business as well, or those who have their own business, they can use your work as well. It works just the same. It doesn't, we've talked about relationships and other things, but for business as well, this stuff works.
Absolutely, and I do have a lot of business clients who work with me and use the material I have provided to take them to the next level. Absolutely. It's fabulous work for them.
Because you're not at home right now, are you? You're actually at a conference.
That's true.
And this conference is to do with business, is
That's
it not?
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm very fascinated by business, and I read Inc. magazine and Entrepreneur and Wired magazine. I love to learn about business. And I've always been interested in business because I worked in the corporate world for a long time before I, broke free and began teaching this. So yes, this work is very powerful for business people because you can apply these principles wherever you go. And that's exactly where I started. My very first presentation was for a large business audience. So it's kind of come full circle. And the Be a Genie is a phenomenal tool that anybody, no matter what their belief system is, they can use it because it's not tied to a belief system in terms of spirituality. It's not tied to any movement or anything like that. It's real clean and lean, very focused. Here's how you manifest. Here's source code for the universe. Here's why it works. And the number one reason why it works has to do with the fact that once you understand the math and the science, the yes buts go away. The people who are very logical, they'll say, yeah, that sounds good, but, and then they're right off in their other thing. But if you can show them mathematically and scientifically why the system works, why it's valid, they don't have to doubt themselves or it. They just put it to work.
Beautifully said. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for coming on today to do this interview. I really, really appreciate that you did because it's been very helpful and very enlightening and very different, which is important. So, Maureen St. Germain, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. I love you, and I'm happy to be working with you, and I hope we get to talk again.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming shows via themoreshow.co.uk, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.